on to Southern Sense Talk Radio with your host, the radio chick, Annie Ubellis. Join Annie on Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with an open chat room full of her regulars. And yes, you can even call in. Call 917-889-3675. That's 917-889-3675 to be a part of the action on the phone line. Not able to listen live? Not a problem. You can always catch Annie, the radio chick, and Southern Sense Talk Radio podcast in archives at southern-sense.com. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Southern Sense the right way.
It's Tuesday. It's 2 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, and where else can you be but here on Southern Sense, here live on Blog Talk Radio, High Plains Media, SHR Media, the Fix FM out of Charleston, South Carolina, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and all the heck with it. You want to know where we are? Just go to the name of the show, put a dash in the middle, southern-sense.com. Check it out. I'm your hostess with the mostest, the radio chick, with my Southern Fried co-host, Curtis C.S. Bennett. Good afternoon, Curtis.
Hey, how are you today, Annie? Glad to have that storm behind you.
Yeah, the storm is behind us, and we're still standing. Got a lot of yard work to do, but we're here, and we are safe and sound. We survived Hurricane Matthew, which hit us. It hit you on Friday. It hit us here between 4:30 and 10 in the morning on Saturday, and we were just 12 miles away from the eye, and we had it going. I had enough food stocked to last us 2 weeks, just going through my cupboards and the refrigerators and freezer, probably even more than that. And I also had another 2 weeks of prepper food set on the side. There's some free-dried stuff that I got. I'm all set. I had gas for the barbecue grill, gas for the generator. We had both refrigerators going and the deep freezer. I hooked up the laptop, kept our cell phones charged, and even hooked up the TV, had the TV also going. As soon as the clouds cleared away, had the satellite TV up, so we were able to keep up with the news and watch our favorite shows. We had a blast. So we lost power Friday afternoon, about 5 minutes after the show on Friday. It came back yesterday afternoon, about 11:30 in the morning, actually. And Curtis, you know, I call this, oh God, I just forgot what I was going to say. Talk about brain dead.
That's okay.
The unintentional, intentional. Do you know how you take your car to the car wash, and as soon as you get it out of the car wash, it rains? I decided, since I hadn't showered since Thursday night, I was going to go shower Sunday morning. So I go to the shower. My husband is there with me in the bathroom. I've got the hurricane lamp on so I can see somewhat in the shower. No sooner do I step out and start drying myself off, the lights came on. So.
Wow. It sounds romantic,
but I can still hear some of my neighbors using the chainsaws because there was some heavy, heavy damage around here. Just not even 2 miles away from me, there are homes that still have water up to their windows. I had done a favor. I saw this woman standing at the side of the road, and I had passed her. I was going to Lowe's because I needed an extra extension cord. And you stood 45 minutes in line in Lowe's just to get in to buy a stupid single extension cord. And on the way back, I see this poor woman still sitting at the side of the road. And I said, something's not right here. So I pulled over, and I asked her if everything was okay. And what happened was she had evacuated out and had made herself back into town. But she only got as far as this northern end of Beaufort County. And I said, well, where do you live? And she told me. And that is like another 20 miles away. And it was like about halfway between where my house is. My house would be like in the middle. So she was still had another 10 or more miles just to get as far as my house. And then she'd have another 10 miles to go out to where she lived. So I said, I'm going to give you a ride if you don't mind. She had 2 little boys with her, 2 elementary age kids. And I said, no, I can't leave them standing there on the side of the road. But there was nothing moving. I mean, if you saw 10 cars on the road, that was a lot. So, I gave her a ride all the way up to where she lived. And the devastation out there, I said, oh my God, I'm lucky. What little damage I have, I am lucky. We've got a couple of trees down. We found that we have a roof that has a leak in it that we didn't know about, and the storm just kind of exacerbated it. But hey, that's nothing compared to what I saw out there. And if any part of the place gets hit, it would be Hilton Head, Harbor Island, Fripp Island, St. Helena. Those islands got really, really blasted. And they're all next door to me. And I mean, when I say next door, you can spit and hit them. But we lucked out. We're safe. We're sound. We got through it. We had enough food, water. We were able to run the generator to power up whatever we needed. I had plenty of ice. So I would alternate between which refrigerator I plug in. So no matter what, everything kept perfect. So... Plus, we had enough scotch, too, Curtis. You know me. Had tons of cat food and litter, so we had nothing to worry about here. We were safe and sound, but some of the other people, and a friend of mine, he's just 2 miles away from me, is still without power. I mean, there was something like 95,000 in just my county alone were without power, and less than half have been restored at this point, so... Knock on wood, we came out of it safe and sound. And we had neighbors that did stay also. So we were checking on each other constantly. You know, do you have enough food? Do you need this? Do you need that? You know, this is the latest update we got from the sheriff's department. We were letting each and every one of our neighbors know what was going on and making sure they were safe. So we took care of each other, which is great.
We came out of it unscathed, too. We didn't have to use any emergency supplies. They have to use the water in the bathtub that sat there for a couple of days, and like I said, we didn't get any storm surges. We just got rain and some high winds, but I don't think it was more than 40 knot winds, and that's not anything, 55 miles an hour or something like that. So
they clocked
some
them.
People weren't as fortunate.
Well, they were clocking them around
some
here.
People weren't as fortunate, but we did.
Around us where they were clocking it, they were saying, depending upon where you were in the county, that you had either 75 or up to 84 mile per hour winds that were hitting us. We had both bathtubs were filled with water. And in fact, I got to tell you a funny story because, we've got that little 4-month-old kitten with us, and she gets into anything and everything. And unfortunately, my husband left the bathroom door open, and he forgot to close it after he was in there. And all of a sudden, I hear this big splash, kaboom, all over the house. And I'm going, what the hell? The kitten wanted to play inside the tub and didn't realize it was filled with water.
I would have loved to see that moment.
I mean, this cat is so amazing. I mean, I had walked into the bathroom to do my business, and I go to stand up, and before I can close the lid and flush, I hear the splash, and there goes the kitten, wet paw prints down the hallway. And I'm going, now I'm trying to grab the kitten and wash her off because she was in the toilet after I used it.
That's hilarious.
Oh, this cat is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, yesterday, no sooner did I get out of the shower, she comes barreling into the bathroom, and I mean, it wasn't even finished turning off yet. She goes barreling into the shower, realizes it's wet in there, skids and hits the wall, does a U-turn. I swear. Oh, man. Well, I want to welcome everyone that is listening to us here in Southern Sense. Yes, we are live broadcast. We do have power. We do have internet service. We're back up and running. The storm is through, and we survived it with flying colors. Matter of fact, the kitten heard me talking about her, Curtis, and she just came running into the room, going, I know you're talking about me. I know you're talking about me. Oh, man.
Don't do that no more.
Oh, well, let's get on with the show because we've got a lot to talk about. There's so much going on. But that said, those that listen to the show know that we start off each and every show with a dedication to a fallen hero. And unfortunately, more and more of these dedications are going down to a first responder, law enforcement officer, and today is unfortunately no different. Today's dedication is going to go out to Sergeant Kenneth Steil of the Detroit Police Department in Michigan. His end of watch was Saturday, September 17th of this year. And as I bring up the dedication music, this is from the Officer Down Memorial page, which you can find at odmp.org. Sergeant Kenneth Steil succumbed to a gunshot wound sustained on September 12th of 2016 while chasing a subject who just attempted to carjack a vehicle at approximately 11 p.m. As officers arrived on the scene of the carjacking at a gas station, the main suspect fled on foot. As Sergeant Steil pursued him, the subject turned and fired a sawed-off shotgun, striking Sergeant Steil in the shoulder. 2 other officers were able to subdue the man and take him into custody. It was later determined that the subject had shot his own father in the foot the previous night. He was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder and several other felonies. Sergeant Steil was transported to St. John Hospital, where it was initially believed he would recover. However, he experienced complications and died on September 12th. The subject who shot him was subsequently charged with murder of a peace officer, first-degree murder, resisting an officer, causing death, and multiple other felony charges. Sergeant Steil, who had served with the Detroit Police Department for 20 years, was assigned to the 9th District. He was survived by his wife and 2 young sons. And this is from freep.com, written by Robert Allen. He's remembered as a superhero, a policeman who helped shootings decrease by more than 50% in Detroit's most violent precinct. He was a 20-year veteran of the department and also a husband and father of 2 boys, ages 3 and 5. When he was in the hospital with a shotgun wound, Sergeant Kenneth Steil, 46, greeted Mayor Mike Dugan with a smile and said he was serving his life's purpose. He says, "We saved lives. We avoided tragedies. We've made people's lives better," Dugan said. He said, "I don't know whose lives I saved, and they don't know me," he said. "But I know this is what I was meant to do." Everyone thought he would be back home with his family by the end of last week, but he died unexpectedly September 17th as a result of the September 12th shooting. Hundreds of police officers attended the funeral at St. Joan of Arc Catholic Church in St. Clair Shores. Some came as far as Toledo and Marin County, which is in the Michigan's west coast. Steele's wife Joanne and sons William 5 and Alexander 3 sat in the front row not far from Dugan and Police Chief James Craig. Steil, a master diver who was on the Detroit Police underwater recovery team, was known to friends and colleagues as Shark. Craig wore a bar with a nickname over his badge at the funeral. He was truly a shining example of what a leader should be, Craig said. When Steil would arrest someone, he would have a conversation with them about how they can turn their lives around, Craig said. He gave Steil a posthumous promotion to captain rank and presented a shadow box to his wife. The Reverend Michael Buggerin had said that Steil was in the hospital. He was unable to walk his boys to their first day of school, so fellow police officers took them by the hand and took them to school for him. Ken wasn't just a superhero to the police department, the minister said. He was a superhero to his family. Craig said that people have asked how they can support police through this loss, and his response is, "Stand with us." Both Craig and Dugan said Steil was a shining example of a good cop amid recent anti-police rhetoric across the U.S. Near the procession outside the church, a woman carried a sign reading, "Blue Lives Matter." The mayor said that in the hospital he asked Steil about his work in the 9th Precinct, which he said is the most violent in the city. Steil told Dugan that dozens fewer people have been shot there this year, with shootings to date down by more than half from the 150 recorded last year. As I hear the division in this country, the people criticizing the police, I just thought to myself, if everybody who's harboring anger against the police in this country could have been sitting in that hospital room looking at the love in Ken Steil's eyes and his desire to protect every single person, that anger would be replaced in this country by understanding, Dugan said. He said that he left the hospital feeling uplifted and that Steil was expected to go home. Steil was shot with a shotgun in the chest while pursuing a suspect on a crime spree who was believed to have shot his father and been involved in carjackings. Marquise Cromer, 21, now faces charges of murder of a peace officer, first-degree murder, resisting and obstructing a police officer, causing death, 2 counts of resisting and obstructing a police officer, possession of a short-barreled shotgun, and felony firearm, according to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Outside the funeral, Craig stood with hundreds of police officers saluting as Steil's casket was brought to the hearse. Steil's family sat in the back of a police car before a procession with numerous flashing lights, sirens, and motorcycles departing for the cemetery. Craig spoke briefly with the media as the procession was about to depart. He is a Detroit police officer. He is an American hero, he said, and I am proud that I had the chance to be a leader at this organization as he went out and did the work that he did. So I'm personally touched by it. He will never be forgotten. Today's show is dedicated to now Captain Kenneth Steil of the Detroit Police Department. It is also dedicated to all the brave men and women out there who serve as first responders every day, donning their uniforms, never knowing if they'll be able to make it home again. We also dedicate it to the brave men and women who serve in our military, to those that have served since the start of this nation, to today and into the future. We dedicate this song, Last Call, by Dave Bray. God bless them all.
Man down, breathing down. No time to be out. These are the last few words that I'd like to say to you all. My last call. Tell my wife I love her. And I won't be tonight. Thank you for those long, hard years that we tried to get it right. Tell her I've been waiting, that she needs to see through it all. This is my last call. Ask her to forgive me, forgive me. Tell her I'm sorry. That I can't be the man that she's gonna be. Tell her I'll be waiting where the winter will fall. This is my last call. Tell my children that I love them. Oh yeah, the daddy always loved them so. Tell them to hold the mother tight and never let her go. Tell them I'll always be watching, looking over them through it all. This is my last call. Tell him to fight for me. Do what's right for me. Choose the light for me. Don't ever forget me. and I'll be there when they fall. This is my last call. Those who serve beside me and who held up in no light, stand tall, stand strong. Oh Lord, and I'm sorry I let you down today. Please know I gave my heart. This is my last call.
Last call, and you can find that at davebrayusa.com. And we're back. You're here listening to Southern Sense here on Blog Talk Radio, High Plains Media, SHR Media, the Fix FM out of Charleston, South Carolina, Kinetic Hi-Fi. Oh, the heck with it. Just check out our website. You know what I'm going to say. Put a dash in the middle. It's the name of the show, southern-sense.com. I'm your hostess with the mostest, the radio chick Annie, along with my co-host, the most intellectual and handsome of all, Curtis C.S. Bennett. Good. Are we ready to rock and roll? We have so much to talk about. I want to welcome everyone that's up in the chat room. I'm glad that you're able to join us today. And yes, we did survive Hurricane Matthew. Came out with flying colors. We had a lot of fun. No power, and power only came back up yesterday mid-morning, and got our internet finally back up. And I got to say, I got to give a special thanks out because Verizon is my cell phone carrier, and because we lost the internet service and we lost our telephone service, I was using the cell phone, my husband and I, and we would keep them charged up by getting them plugged into the generator, and I was using the cell phone as my hotspot, so I was able to check emails and send messages out to people that were worried about us. And because of that, I went well over my data usage, and I'm going, oh my God, I'm going to get hit with this humongous cell phone bill at the end of the cycle. And you know what? Lo and behold, they sent out a text to everyone saying that if you're in the hurricane path, if you're in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, we're going to give you between October 7th and today the 11th, unlimited data. So I just saw something like $80 just get knocked off of my cell phone bill. So, thank you guys, because they could have very easily, for all those people that are in that area, they could have turned around and said, yeah, screw you. We're going to make ourselves a mint off of you clowns because you're stupid enough to go over your data minutes. But they said, no, we're going to give you unlimited data for that time frame because we know that you were in a really tight spot. You needed to have the ability to communicate with people, to be able to email, text, or whatever. So they gave us unlimited voice, data, text. And thank you, Verizon out there. You've got yourself probably a customer for life if you keep up this policy. It was great. Want to thank them. Also want to give a special thanks out to someone that's listening in that doesn't have access to the chat room, to Sweet Sue from New Mexico. Thank you. She tirelessly puts out my show and other people out there. She's a fantastic lady, a great lady. Thank you, Sue, for doing that. All right. That said, Curtis, I'm doing my rants today. Did you, by any chance, catch the debate? The debate out there.
I most certainly did. I was very impressed with Mr. Trump's performance. I think he redeems himself to a certain degree. Hillary, as usual, said some things that were obviously lies in front of everyone. So I think everybody could peep her game.
Well, one of the things Sasquatch in the chat room said Matthew did make the NCAA football interesting, especially in the Carolinas. Matter of fact, NASCAR, they were supposed to race in Charlotte, North Carolina on Saturday. And Matthew went through and dumped a lot of heavy rain over there, so they postponed it until Sunday. And, lo and behold, I didn't know that it got postponed until Sunday, so I missed the race, and Jimmy Johnson won. I'm so bad.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. But Green Bay won. Green Bay won on Sunday night. And we've got a caller, happens to be a neighbor, and let me bring him in on the line. The one, the only man about town, Dana Smearman. Good afternoon, Dana.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I just want to point out the Steelers also won. Your Green Bay fetish notwithstanding, Andy. Let's be honest. The Steelers, most important.
Oh, no. And I wouldn't know you're a Steelers fan. Oh, Lord, no. You only have half your house plastered with Steeler crap.
Well, it was actually good. You're talking about Verizon. I think they do deserve a shout out because for most of us down here, that was our only link really to the outside world. I was able to, even though we still don't have power here at my house, we were able to stream, news and information and keep in touch with folks. So they definitely deserve a big shout out because it is quite a mess down here. And also to all those linemen who are now working their way up and down the roads here, trying to put all of this mess back together, which is, I think, going to be quite a task when it's all said and done.
Yeah, because, the last time a serious hurricane hit was 1959. And, I have to explain because we're on the intercoastal. We are on the shore. But we're tucked in like a little odd cove area where our county is. So it's normally we have the storms jump over us. They normally will pass by. They'll hit up in Charleston or they'll hit up at Myrtle Beach or somewhere around there. They normally jump past us. So the people here kind of get a little relaxed, thinking, oh, it's not going to be any big deal. So when I was looking at the news data, I'm sure you saw the same thing, that they were urging people to evacuate along the coast. And they did give a mandatory evacuation here for our living area. But, there are those of us that were stocked up and ready, and we couldn't leave home, for whether it's for health reasons or because you have a lot of pets and stuff like that. So, the evacuation really wasn't an option for some of us. But only half of the people in the county actually did evacuate, which I found interesting. Because you would think we have a lot of renters, we got a lot of vacationers. They got out. But the people that actually live here, a little over half actually did leave, which I found surprising. And then driving around, like I said, driving around, looking at the damage, and you're closer to the actual waterway than I am. I do have water down Rickyard Point, which is a mile down one way, but you're actually closer to where you would get a storm surge than I am. So I'm glad that you got through that. Really nice.
Well, the thing about it is you're talking earlier about not leaving, and we got all the information that we could gather, from the officials, and, my wife and I made a decision that, A, the most important thing was we wanted to secure our property. C, in the aftermath of it, if there were things that we could do to help. Also, my wife and I are going to be involved in getting the hospitals up and running again here, and she's already in there today doing that, so if you went away, it was difficult, as you know, here to get back in. We felt there needed to be, people here to not only protect our property. We do have a lovely couple across the street who have lots of health problems, and they left. So we felt it was important to do that. And, Shepard Smith notwithstanding, we decided that freedom stuff was kind of important to us and decided to stay.
Yeah, because we were checking up on all of our neighbors. Those that left, we went around to their houses and let them know that their homes were okay, that there was no major damage. One neighbor, one of our friends had a tree down in the backyard and said, that's the worst you've got. at this point. So thankfully, everyone that we checked up on, their houses were okay. There were others that did stay on the street with us, and we double-checked to make sure that they were all right. They had enough food. They had enough water. They needed candles, whatever they needed, we were sharing. And if we got a news update, we'd share it with them. So each one of us took care of the others, and we would constantly call our neighbors. Like my next-door neighbor, she left with her dog. She ended up being taken in by another family. They ended up having 8 animals between dogs and cats in this one house with another 8 adults. So we would let her know that everything was okay. And that's important. We took care of each other. And then once it was over, we're there to help with the cleanup. So that's what neighbors and friends are about. And I'm glad to see our community.
It really was. Yeah, it was really great to see that. I wanted to point that out to your listeners who may not be in the area, to understand that the human spirit, it was quite invigorating to see people immediately afterwards helping each other, cleaning up, starting to put things back together. That's the kind of thing in the silly season of politics that we're involved in. I know you guys were getting into that. You have to count on yourself first and those people around you. That's a true sense of community. I haven't seen a government official. I don't need to see one. We know what needs taken care of as far as the power, all that sort of thing. Like I said before, that's an incredible project, and there are people from states all over the Southeast that have come in. I've seen trucks right here in our own area, any people from Kentucky, Mississippi, not just South Carolina Gas and Electric. So, it just makes me feel great. This is what being an American is about. And as I said, so the heck with all of that. Oh, they could have named it Hurricane Hillary because, quite honestly, I don't think Matthew could do as much destruction as that woman is capable of. But that's just me.
But I do also have to give a shout-out to one of the county council members, Brian Flewelling. He was up on Facebook tirelessly because he was down in Atlanta, but he kept up to date with what was going on within the county, and he was up on Facebook constantly updating people as to what was up and running, what wasn't running, where the curfews were, because there were curfews put in place around here. And as of today, I think you may still have a curfew out in Hunting Island area, Harbor Island. We're not sure. He's going to let us know. But, where power was up, what roads were open, what roads were closed, what areas people could go into. Because they were literally stopping people at the county line asking for identification. If you didn't live here, if you did not have a valid address for inside the county, then you were not going to be let in. They were only letting residents back. And that's how bad it was over here. So they're saying, we don't want the news media all over the place getting under our feet. We'll let the local people back in first and foremost. We'll let the emergency workers through and the local residents. So as I understand, they're still checking IDs on people in certain areas to make sure only truly local people go back in. And it also holds down on the looting, too, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. A very good thing. And I did not see any looting whatsoever, thankfully.
Well, I didn't see it myself out here because a lot of people on this side of where we live remained. I will tell people who are interested, Hilton Head Island, that's where I work, did take a huge hit. A lot of damage there, and I think they're going to lift the curfew down there as well about 3:00 because right now I needed a pass to get onto the island to just get back to help get the hospital back up and running. We're not getting back to any sense of normal, probably anytime soon, but things are progressing. And as you said, it's neighbor and neighbor down here, and it was just an amazing thing to experience. And then the aftermath, once again, this is what, to me, as I said, makes me feel great to be an American, is watching people help each other. And, like I said, who needs a politician? You need each other. That's what you need. So. Yeah. I think that's the lesson we can learn.
Yeah, because we had one neighbor of ours, she had her grandson with her, and they were kind of running low on food. And I had just barbecued some chicken, and I had made some macaroni salad. Yes, I am that much of a prepper where I can still make a fresh home-cooked meal with absolutely no power on. So I when I said I had enough food to last more than 2 weeks, Dana, I'm probably closer to about 2 months, honestly. And you
That's
know
okay.
me. And
to put it out there, though, Andy, I have tasted some of your canned goods, and they are quite delicious. So if you're living on that, then you're going to be okay. Just saying.
That's telling.
well, I just said, come on down, bring the kid over. That way you can sit down and have an actual meal instead of you opening up a can of something lukewarm and trying to or a bowl of cereal. Get something
it's just
substantial into
amazing
the
what
kid.
you take for granted, isn't it? Like a hot shower, a warm meal, these kind of things that you just everyday conveniences. Although, I must say, people down here like you guys, we decided a while back we needed to be prepared. And I would say this is a lesson that we could share with all of your listeners, no matter where they're at. It doesn't have to be hurricane country. You know what? Get yourself prepared. If you have an extended power outage, whatever the incident may be, because if we didn't take those precautions, Andy, I'm sorry, our situation would have been dire. We would have ended up probably having to seek shelter somewhere else. But we were able to stay in our home and live in some comfort, as I say, rocking a 4G signal during a hurricane. Get out of town, right? There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, Rocking Ron, Gulf Dog, is wanting to know when you're going to come back onto BTR. And Kel wants to know if you've left Facebook.
I intended to do it a while back, and then I got once again waylaid into some personal issues. Not to go into great detail, but my wife had some issues and some health things that we had to get straightened out. I had a few issues myself. No, wasn't rehab for those people who are asking. I know that was going to come up. No, it was not that. And so I'd like to get back on, to talk about it. I think that this this political cycle, has been fascinating in one way, and I don't know where we're going, but damn, it's going to be a hell of a ride. And so someone has to be here to comment and to make fun of it, which is more my style than others. But
now, Dana, I've got to ask you: are you going to do another Halloween thing again this year?
You know what? I am planning on doing that. As a matter of fact, doing another Halloween party online, and also for those people around here, I have usually put up a massive Halloween display. We are going to go ahead and full bore do that as soon as we've got our yard now cleaned up to an extent, because we think that would help, truthfully, as people come back. We need to get a little normal. Well, I don't know if that's normal, but as normal as we get around here to try to, get people back up and running. Andy, I think that's important.
No,
to get
absolutely.
lives going back in the right direction.
Do you want Yanni and I in costume this year?
Yeah, I think it needs to be. I don't know what Yanni could go as. He's quite interesting. I'm thinking maybe he was earlier talking. I'm thinking maybe Keith Richards. He could pull that off very, very well. For those of you who know Yanni, he could do that in a heartbeat.
Oh man, he'd make a great skeleton too.
He would, actually. He and my son, we sit standing next to each other. So there you are.
All right, but then we also have my stepson with us too, so I have to figure out what he should be going as.
It's just, what I think it'd be one of those things anywhere. You just got to do something to get back to normal, and get people. People were shaken up by this, quite obviously, and I know when I this is the first hurricane, by the way, my first hurricane. I don't know if I get a T-shirt for that or something, but my first hurricane. And about 4:30 on Saturday morning, I'm tell you what, that whole thing always sounds, it sounds like a freight train coming through. Boy, did it ever. And it just seemed to go on forever. We just never, it was one of the darkest, scariest nights I've ever spent. But as you said, we came out of it okay, and, we're a little worse for the wear, but we'll get back. Once we get the services back, I think things will be headed in the right direction.
Yeah, but throughout it all, Bill's Liquor was open. True story.
God bless him, by the way. Did you see that? For those of you not, once again, from the area, Bill's is probably one of the finest liquor stores I've ever been in, and I've been in a few. And when I kept getting emails from him saying, look, we're going to stay open as long as weather permits, I'm like, God bless you, sir. God bless you. for doing that.
And, unfortunately, his house took a huge, huge hit. He has a lot of damage.
Oh.
But he was worried about everyone else and not himself. And that is someone that truly gives back to the community. Even though we're talking about a liquor store, but the guy gives back to the community. I'm telling you, it is really something fantastic to see. And like Dana, like I said, I saw that woman over, and you know where I'm talking about, Advanced Order down by Lowe's. And she lives all the way out at Land's End. And that's more than 20 miles apart from where she was dropped off. And because no one was being allowed into the county, the person that was supposed to be coming to pick her up, to take her back to her house, could not get into the county. And, I just, by the grace of God, I just said, something isn't right here. I've got to stop and see if I can help her. And I did. And I drove her all the way out to her house. But driving down those roads, and some of these guys are not even paved roads. That's how rural you're talking about areas back there. And there was one lane to go in, one lane to go out in normal circumstances. Out of that, you were basically driving on only half a lane to get around the debris that was all over the roadways and some of the roads being flooded. So I said, all right, I know I can get in safely doing this. And she's saying, well, you can probably get it. And I says, no, I'm not going to take a chance of getting halfway down the road and finding it's completely blocked. Because we already came up one road that we had to wait for the trucks to move the tree that was blocking the road. And you're sitting there, people on one side of the blockage, people on the other side of the blockage. I mean, we took a hit. We really took a hit. But I've got to say, thank God it was between a Category 2 and 1 by the time it hit us. So I would hate to think what a 3 would do. And my neighbor across the street, God bless him, Marine, former law enforcement, he says, if it's a 3, you're out of here. Do not stay if it's a Category 3.
No, I think that's the level we discussed it. My wife and I said, look, would we stay again? I said, look, if it was going to be a Category 3 storm, it got that close, or God forbid, made landfall here. The flooding was a lot worse here, Andy, than I suspected. And if it had been a Category 3 storm, I think a lot of this area would have been underwater. And that is really the problem that you have. When you start getting flooding, it's just, I would leave in a Category 3. And, as I said, I feel lucky. I didn't mean to turn your show into the Weather Channel for those people listening out there. But, I wanted to just, make a few comments. Because, as I said, watching people, and here, on the main road out here, Sam's Point Road, which is the main road in and out of this area, there were people right after the winds died down on Saturday. These are normal citizens, ladies and gentlemen, out there with their trucks in chainsaws. They cleared the roads here so that we could get the other folks up here, the emergency folks and the power people up here. So my hat's off to all of them. And it makes me feel very proud to live in this community. And, as I said, I'm in a neighborhood with a lot of Marines and law enforcement, a lot of people who are ex-Marines and, former Marine, let me correct myself. And they really just got to work. So, I just want everybody to know that.
Yes, absolutely. It was neighbor helping neighbor. And like I said, you could never be too prepared. Because even as prepared as we were, able to cook and do whatever else and watch TV because we had everything set up and ready, we turned around and after all it was said and done, I said, Yannick, I think we should do X, Y, Z should we ever be in this situation. Right. And one of those things that I'm talking to him about is actually wiring the generator into the into our box, so that all I have to do is flip a fuse switch. And it's all right, fine. If I need power in the master bathroom because I want to shower or something like that, I can flip it on. If I want the hot water heater to run so I can take a hot shower, I can flip that switch on. So I want to get a generator powered wired into our box as well as the standalone generator. So I think that would make ours a little bit more safer and easier to work on. So I don't have to keep on going out to the porch to use the grill out there. I can turn the stove on in the kitchen.
Right.
So there's always something, more step you can do.
Right. As the great Ron White, the comedian, said, it's not that the hurricane's blowing, it's what the hurricane's blowing. And there was debris everywhere, in big debris. So, that is something that was quite an experience. But, as I said, we can all be thankful, and now we can get on to the second natural disaster, which will be, I think, the fall election. I believe that's the second one to come. So.
Oh, absolutely. That will be the next disaster. I mean, the attacks that are coming on Donald Trump, and I'm sorry, Paul Ryan is a complete blithering idiot. Absolute idiot. To pull the stunt he just did. Hey, listen, Dana, there's probably not a single person in this world, except for Mother Teresa and our Lord Jesus Christ, who probably have never said anything in their entire life that they would be embarrassed about. Every single person has said something.
Please.
And he got caught on
tape.
Just,
yeah, well, that's the thing. I think the one problem that I've had with Donald Trump from the start of all of this is that I don't know if he was prepared. And what I mean by that is he was prepared for the kind of scrutiny, even though he's been a celebrity, the kind of opposition research type of scrutiny that you get in an election. And when I hear about this tape, all I think about is, hey, didn't some people die in Libya? Hey, wasn't there some state secrets that are flying about? Are we going to talk about that ever? Or are we going to talk about the ravings of somebody who thought he was in private, making a comment, however distasteful you might find it? I find it distasteful, but like you said, we've all made comments in private. This election is turning into a joke because we had opportunities to talk about real issues, and this is the kind of stuff we're spending time on.
Yeah, absolutely. And the word is that the actual leak of that tape may have come out of Paul Ryan's office. It's believed. Now, what the heck is this guy's name? I'm just looking for this person's name. But it may have come. Oh, Jim Hope from Gateway Pundit has posted it, saying it's possible that this came directly from Paul Ryan's office, one of his top aides. And I'm trying to look for this aide's name, and I saw it and I recognized it, and I said, "Oh shit, makes sense." I'll find it probably at 2:00 in the morning. I'll remember what the guy's name is. Man. I just saw the name. I'm not crazy. Oh, Dan Sr. It's believed it may have been Dan Sr. that actually leaked the Trump and Bush tape. So this was timed. This was planned. And Dana, I'm going to have you on. Stay with us. I've got Twilo, who's running for Florida Congress out of Florida District 10. Let me bring her on because she was supposed to be with us on Friday, but unfortunately the hurricane was hitting her and my co-host on Friday, so she couldn't be with us. So let's welcome Twilo. Good afternoon, Twee.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry. How are you folks doing today? Hi, Ian. Hi, Curtis.
Hey, how's it going?
I see you survived hurricane. You survived the hurricane too, right?
Yeah,
Matthew?
we sure did. We sure did. We barely, though. And we have a lot of trees on our property, and that was one of our biggest concerns, was whether one of these big old oak trees were going to fall onto our house. But thank goodness and thank God that we were safe and we were protected. We were protected. We did lose power, though, for a couple of days. I think at least 48 hours. But that's very little comparing to some of these folks that have lost so much.
Yeah, well, I've got one of my neighbors. He's with me. He's without power. He's like about 2 miles away from me, and I got power back yesterday. So we're still getting, doing the battle. Because Dana, I lost power on Friday. Did your power go down on Friday also?
Yes, it did Friday afternoon, and we had just gotten an update. They don't expect the county now. This is a lot different than where we live. I mean, they can restore ours sooner. But they are talking now that the entirety of Beaufort County probably isn't going to have power till Monday. So.
Wow.
Well, I was hearing like St. Helena and areas like that would be 2 weeks. That's how bad they are. And I'm telling you, when I took that woman home and I went through that area, the devastation was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we thought we had it, all right, fine. But holy moly, there's entire farms out there that are just completely underwater. And as I was taking this woman home, she's going, "Oh, that's the packing plant. what you only saw was the top of the equipment. You couldn't see the field itself. So there's whole areas out here that got really devastated. So it's going to be a long haul back for us. But like I said, it could have been worse. So far we're not hearing of any deaths. Have you heard anything, Dana?
I've heard of no deaths. There were a few injuries. Right now at Beaufort Memorial Hospital, there's about 40 patients. They're beginning to ramp up operations, and they did a few surgeries today that were on some minor injuries and some folks who had got crossways with a chainsaw. But other than that, I've heard of no deaths, anything like that.
Well, it is said that the majority of injuries that occur in a storm like this is after the storm passes and people start to do the cleanup. People that don't know how to handle chainsaws, that shouldn't be handling them. Yes, I can understand that. People are not paying attention in traffic and end up in car accidents. But Dana, I want to ask you also about over at Beaufort Memorial. I saw the surgery center had a fire. Is that back open or?
Yes, it did. Yes, it will be back open tomorrow. Beaufort Memorial Hospital, for any of you who are in the area who need to know, they expect full operations to return tomorrow. That is, everything back to normal. They'll probably even be sending some messages out later, so if you have a doctor's appointment, anything like that, they are anticipating being up and fully running by tomorrow.
Wow. So,
well, yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, the great thing is that there's no fatality as far as we know, and that's always a blessing, And anything else we can restore, but we can't restore human life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But what I
with the storm, did you lose many signs?
Oh, did we lose any signs?
Yeah, many.
Our campaign signs. Well, Curtis, Curtis, in 2014 when I was running in that crazy district, the gerrymandered district that used to belong to Kareem Brown. Curtis was my campaign manager up there in the Palatka area, and we put in so many of these 4x8 signs. And Curtis, remember, we build our signs to last. We put a very strong foundation in our frames, and so Matthew is not going to do anything to our sign, and just basically it just push us over just a tad bit, maybe like not even a 45-degree angle with our sign. So so we didn't lose any. Only those vandals that damage our signs, but Matthew didn't damage our sign.
Which is why you were supposed to come on the show Friday, because I wanted to talk about how your campaign was going and about someone from your opponent's camp, someone who likes your opponent better than you, was vandalizing your signs, stealing them and ripping them out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's people can get really vicious. They don't, and y'all were just talking a little bit about the national level. I mean, the presidential campaign there. People can get really, really vicious, and unfortunately, we have gotten away from the issues, and now we're just doing, attack, and basically that was what they did. Apparently, they felt that I was a threat to their campaign, or maybe it's one of the supporters didn't like the fact that I am now moving into the African American Democratic voting base, and so they didn't appreciate that, and so they not only pull up my signs, but they literally they broke the 2x4s in pieces. That's how much rage they had on my campaign. It wasn't just that they pull it up and throw it on the ground. They literally broke the 2x4s in pieces. So I posted a couple pictures on that on Facebook just to show, the rage and the anger that we have now in our community.
Yeah, I've never seen our nation...
yeah.
Under this president, I've never seen our nation so divided. I grew up through the civil rights and everything else, but still people pulled together. Under this president, you've got either you're on this corner or you're in that corner, and there's no in between. There is absolutely no in between. You're either a never Trumper or you're never Hillary. Yeah. There's no in between. There's no compromise. There's no thinking that we're American first and then everything else comes second.
That's right. It's about you and it's about me now, and it's about my will to survive. It's not about our community anymore. That's why we can't continue to have liberal messages pushing on their agenda in this election cycle. This is why we can't have Hillary become the president of the United States, because we can't continue to have the status quo. Our country is so divided. And, I think back at the time when I came to this country back in 1975, and as you know, my family and I were immigrants from Vietnam, and we came to this country with nothing but the clothes on our back, and we've learned to speak English, at least my siblings and I. And the high school, I went to high school here in Central Florida. It's right in the middle of Orlando. And there was a lot of white, the minority population was very, very small. I think I was the only Asian at my high school, and my sister, then a year later, she came on into the school, and then another Vietnamese student came into the school, and so there were like three Asians in this school of the graduating class of 400, right? And we have blacks in our school, not a whole lot, just a number of the black students. And I barely speak English because I didn't learn to speak English until I came over this country, and I was just starting learning to speak English when I entered the 5th grade here. And in high school, I was elected as student council president. So imagine the probably first Asian, elected in that high school, and there were only 3 Asians in that high school, and then the student senior class president was a football player, and he was also black. And so we have 2 minority students that got elected in the highest post of our high school. And so there may have been some diversiveness, but we united. We treated each other with respect, and we moved on. It wasn't like what I'm seeing today. And it breaks my heart that the narrative is so far out of whack that I can't believe that this is what's going on in this great nation. This is the United States of America. And so I don't recognize, our country anymore. I've never thought that America was going to be the country of divisiveness and angers and rage for among each other like we're seeing today. So, you know what? I have to blame on somebody, right? We have to blame on the top. I have to blame on our current administrator. I mean, I have to blame on our president who have done nothing in the last 7 and 8 years to unite our community. So, whether it is true that he is to blame or not, he is the president, and he's the head of our country. So if we have this problems that we have now today, I got to blame him.
Yeah, you do, because it's his attitude and those of his cronies that say, well, in order to get what we want done, let's cause a division, let's cause everyone to be looking in this direction, while at the same time we make a maneuver in that direction. They're going to be so busy fighting over in this corner, they're not going to see what we get past them, such as the DREAM Act, such as DARPA, such as the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement, such as the deal with Iran. So while we're busy bickering over these issues that they say are so important, like Black Lives Matter instead of All Lives Matter, they're doing what they want to do because they're keeping us fighting each other. And that's what we got to stop. We got to wake up, smell the coffee, and say, hey, listen, the wool is being pulled over our eyes. It's time to unite and make Americans the focal point. What is good for America and not what is good for their political party.
And you're absolutely right, Ann. I think Americans are afraid. We're angry, and we're so disappointed in our political system. Our country is going downhill. We're living in a very dangerous place. We're losing a lot of job opportunities here, and we're being taken down from within, with domestic terrorism, with the lack of job opportunities, and our national security and our education, which is one of the most expensive education system in the world, and yet we're ranked and the last time I looked, and this was 2 or 3 years ago, but the last time I looked, we were in 21 in the world. I don't know if that has changed, but and you look at the homelessness here in this country, that breaks my heart as well. Look at the veterans who, came home from the war and have nothing to show for. We have homeless veterans on the street. So, the crisis are mounting, and we need to start thinking and look at people that we elect to go to office to take care of our community, to make sure that America is great again, and make sure that we have opportunities, to make sure that we have a strong foothold in the global market. So I think, I believe that between Trump and Hillary, who I think, our country can use a woman's president, but it has to be a right woman to have this office. I can honestly tell you that Hillary does not represent me as a woman. I think our country needs a strong leader. Our country needs someone that would stand up to the bullies and the terrorists and the jihadist movement. We need a president who can bring job opportunities back. We need a president who have been in the business world, who understands the ups and downs of running a small business. We need people like that. Whether we really like what came out of his mouth 10 years ago or not, that's besides the point now. We have to swallow that. And Curtis will tell me I'm one of those closet case, or people that, not closet case, but one of those people that I don't expose myself to vulgarities and hostilities and things like that, and Curtis now. So it does bother me that, this kind of a language is being shared among the boys or the men out there. It does bother me. But the bottom line is our country is in such a bad shape right now that we have to put our that differences in opinion aside and take a look at where we are today and where we need to be tomorrow. And so that's why I'm a woman, I'm a minority, I'm an immigrant, and I'm supporting Trump because I love America, and because the fact that we have to look at the real issues that are hurting our country right now and see how we can work together to solve these problems. And yes, Trump is not perfect, but he's a lot better choice than the other side, Hillary.
That's true. That's true. Now, we've got our next guest coming in. I believe I see his phone number up on the screen. If our next guest, Dr. Martino, is on, please press 1 on your telephone pad so that way I know it is you, and I'll bring you back on. We also have a caller tweet. Just real quick. All right. Yes, he is with us. Okay. Real quick, where can people find your campaign website? So if they want to make a donation or give you support, they know where to go to give you a hand on your election so that you can take over a congressional seat, which is from District 10 out of Florida.
Yes, thank you so much for that opportunity. And people can visit our website at www.tweelo2016.com, and that's THUY LOWE2016.com, or they can contact me at 407-619-4373. Check out my Facebook, Twilo, and I love to connect with them. We need all the help we can get. We need money. We need donation. I'm running against George Soros, a Porter. I'm running against Nancy Pelosi puppets. So this is real, folks, and we can't let them take control of our country and our community.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, Twee. So I'm going to tell people to go to your website, which is Twilo 2016. You were supposed to be with us Friday, but unfortunately we had the hurricane, so you couldn't make it. And I'm telling you, 5 minutes after I got off of air, we lost power here too. So, but we're getting out
you and I
there.
were talking about that right before we went on. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And do you? And I guess I hope to talk to you soon. I've always enjoyed being on the show with you, and I love your show. So,
thank you.
We'll check back with you soon. Okay.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We'll talk with you and be safe out there. All right, Curtis. Let's bring on our next guest, Dr. Steve Martino. He is a neurologist, but he's also an author. And Dr. Martino, I got to say, when I saw your picture, I said, "Do you shave yet?"
well, thank you. I'm Italian, so the answer is yes.
Well, I'm half Italian, and my answer is no. Oh, man. You have a great book out. Matter of fact, it's the second in a series. And it's called The Hidden Reality. And I finished reading it last night. Like I said, we didn't have power, so going on the internet and powering up my laptop was kind of sketchy because I wanted to make sure I had enough power for the refrigerators and deep freezer and everything else. Of course, we had to have TV on. So I went through your book, and I actually this morning, I reread the last 2 chapters to make sure I read it correctly. And I'm going, you dirty rat, you got to make me read the 3rd book coming out.
Well, I called the 3rd book The Final Reality, so that's going to be out next year. I got done writing it about 2 months ago.
So when is it going to be released next year?
Well, tentatively it's going to be May 2017.
So now I got to wait all those months. I got to wait 7 months in order for me. No, you got to get me an advance copy. That's not fair.
I will certainly get you that advance copy. It'll be my honor to send it to you as soon as we get it done. Actually, they're editing it right now, and hopefully I'll get the edits back. You know, it's like a process getting a book done. I do it. I get the edits back, and I get the second edits back. Then it goes to a proofreader. Then I edit it one more time, and it finally goes through. So, you know, I wish I could say I can get it out at the end of this year, but it'll be a little bit too soon.
Well, the series you have is about this one character, Alex Pella, and it is interesting, and I loved reading it. I sometimes get a lot.
Thank you so much.
I get a lot of authors that send me books, and some of them I'll say, but others, when you can sit down and just get yourself absorbed into it, and if your husband or spouse is walking past you talking to you and you don't hear them, it's a good book.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, man. But you also just started up as a co-host on a radio show called The Fire Show with Daryl Brooks. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, it's a conservative radio show, and it airs in Philadelphia, and it's also, you can watch it on your computer, so we can't come in and underdress for it. And it's my first experience actually co-hosting a conservative talk show. So we talk about Trump, we talk about Hillary, we talk about all the ideas that are going on today, all what we see out in both internationally and domestically on a political and economic sense. It's a lot of fun. I've never done anything like that before. You know, I've never been really on any form of TV. I've done a lot of different radio, but it's a whole different venue, and I think it's great to expand my horizon and do something new. I think you can't really expand yourself as a person unless you go out of your comfort zone, and that was sort of going out of my comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, well, I know that feeling because I started this one 6 years ago. God, I can't remember. I'm going on almost 7 years doing this. This is really, and it's fun. It's fun. You never know where you're going to go.
Yeah, you sound like you're having a good time.
But
good for you.
Oh, thanks. Now, your reality books, you base it upon a futuristic society. And you have them about this new government called the New Reality. And it's funny because you look at some of the stuff that is happening today, and you've actually taken what's going on today and said, well, what's going to be looking like 70 years into the future? What is our nation going to look like? And it's really interesting and actually very scary, because if you're looking at what the left is trying to do, you're predicting what we will end up turning into.
Right. I mean, we're going there right now. I mean, when you look at all the politicians in power right now, they're all funded by big government. I mean, big banks, big money, big business. I mean, it really comes down to when you see what we feel as say, a Republican Party or conservatives, it's not being translated into bills or stopping Obama anything he wants to do. So you're like, well, we put you in office, yet you're voting not for us. You're voting for almost the big business, the big banks, and you have your own interests and your donors' interests in mind. And, it's something that if I told people about 5-6 years ago, they would have said, you're crazy. Almost like when Glenn Beck came out and started talking about Soros. I'm like, he's a nut. You may disagree with what he has to say now, but when he came out with a lot of that information, especially about Soros, it was almost like fringe knowledge. Like, no one's ever heard of that. Is government really that jaded where they don't care about the people and they just care about the big donors? The answer, my feeling is yes. And that's why Trump is such a popular candidate, because he speaks to the people. He senses what we're feeling. He sees what the problems that are going on in America, and he parrots it. He's able to say, hey, listen, we see everyone's hurting in the manufacturing realm. We see a lot of our jobs are going overseas, both white-collar and blue-collar. We're bringing in people from other countries using H-1 visas, and they're taking your jobs. And not only they're taking your jobs, but us Americans are training them to take your jobs, and then you get fired or laid off. So he speaks to the people. And this is the first time a politician has spoken to the people, I believe, and really is going to stick by his guns and show that he is for us, vote for us, make policies for us, and really has no one in his back pocket, or he's not in anyone's back pocket hopefully through financial disclosures.
Yeah.
I would go as far as to say that Trump knows how the Washington game is played from both sides. He's been playing it. And I think, pretty much that he's not afraid to expose it, and I think that's what gives him so much credibility with the people. And I think that's why he attracts as many people as he does from both sides of the aisle, because he knows the game is playing.
And I think that's why the people in politics and in power are so afraid of them, because they're going to be exposed, and they're not going to be in their cushy lives anymore.
No.
The ancient Romans used to have a term on everything. When you looked at how their government went before it became more of a dictatorship, before Caesar crossed the Rubicon. I mean, it used to be a republic, or you had a certain time limit. I mean, we have career politicians. I mean, this is their life, and they're getting very wealthy and powerful from that, and he's going to expose all the corruption. And if he doesn't, we'll be disappointed.
Absolutely. The worst comes to worst, we would be disappointed with him. But we also know we will be a stronger nation, and if we get his foot in the door, then the next person that runs for president can be even more conservative and be more concerned about bringing America back to its greatness. But we've got to get the foot in the door first. He is not the ideal candidate. He does shoot himself in the foot every now and then. I wish he would stay off of Twitter, of all things. Just do not do those 3 a.m. Twitter tweets out there.
No.
Just don't go there. Leave it alone. At 3 a.m., I want you to be able to pick up that red phone and do what you need to do for our military men and women, for our ambassadors, to be able to defend America. I don't want you on Twitter. Donald, get off of Twitter. But he's not the
I know.
ideal. But
I think Steve
what's
Bannon,
the alternative?
Yeah, there is none. I mean, and he, when you see Pence up there, that is a gentleman and someone that I feel like I can really, trust also. So I think out of the first round of debates, I'm excluding the one we just had on Sunday, I think Pence was a big winner. I mean, I really enjoyed that guy. But, I mean, you can't lie. All these things that no one was afraid to ask Clinton or say to Clinton in front of everyone. You saw Trump up there sticking it to them, Stewart, with regard to the affairs, the emails, saying that she should be in jail. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was cheering at home saying, finally. They told the CNN press to go stick it. Is this 1-on-3? It was just very refreshing. It's like all of us who feel downtrodden, taxed, medical benefits totally increased with less benefit we're getting from it. Jobs leaving our towns and people, hurting. I felt like he was speaking for us. Like, I'm gonna take Washington back from you, the corrupt person, and give it back to the people who put us in office. So,
No,
I still feel empowered by it.
Yeah, he resonates when he says, I work for you. You are hiring me, and not the other way around. And I liked when he said that.
Right. Yeah, it was great.
That answers my question. Hasn't got much play, but he was explaining how he spent, I think it was $100 million of his own money, something like that, for the elections, and he was asking Hillary why hasn't she spent some of the money that her husband had built up. I can't say they made it, but with the foundation. And she never responded to that, and there was never any follow-up.
No.
So that's another question she dodged the bullet, and the liberal press didn't press her on it,
She's been living off the public dole and kickbacks since she's been in office. And that's the bottom line. It sums it up. And she's too stingy to even ante up any of those $220 million she's made over the past 14 years.
No, the worst part is we had a caller. I'm going to bring the caller in just a few moments. But what I wanted to see asked, because now we're sending aid, we're sending troops down to Haiti to help them rebuild their nation. What happened to all of that money that the Clinton Foundation collected for Haiti 5 years ago? Why haven't they sent any of that money down there? These people from the last storm 5 years ago are still living in cardboard shacks. And the Clinton Foundation is not being called to task because they raised all that money with the help of the Bushes, if you remember, because it was Clinton and Bush that went down there to raise the funds, and less than 10% of what they raised actually went to Haiti. I want to see that question asked about the Clinton Foundation. Where's the money actually going to? Yeah. And second question, what is going on with the Clinton Foundation when the drugs they are sending for AIDS to Africa are watered down and worthless? So what is all these donations going to? Just how crooked is that foundation? Now, those are questions you as a doctor should be asking.
Can you quantitate that? Can you quantitate it?
You can't quantitate it. Now, I'm going to mention one thing that you said, I think it was you, who said Hillary Clinton doesn't represent me as a female. I'm going to tell you, Hillary Clinton doesn't represent me as a human. She is, I always say, someone said to me this morning, she goes, I can't, when she meets her maker, I go, who her maker is? Satan. So that was a big joke this morning.
Well, let me bring this caller in.
And really,
all right, Dana, hang on a second.
This whole thing, I'm not a big Trump guy, never have been. But let me say this about these Republicans now who are all jumping ship. They created the very primary system that Donald Trump used to become the nominee. Now they're complaining that he is the nominee. Okay? They created the system to help Mitt Romney because that was who their guy was. I think they were figuring we're all going to jump aboard the Jeb Bush train because that's who they wanted. And when it backfired on them, okay, and Donald Trump used his appeal, his grassroots appeal to get through the primary, I don't see how these people can complain now. Okay, I don't see how they can do that. He wasn't my choice, as you guys were saying. Maybe you had other choices as well, but at this point, I don't know how you service the nation by voting for Hillary Clinton, which I've heard some Republicans suggest they're going to do, or you're going to sit it out. I don't understand that. I'm with you guys on that. I don't get that. Quit crying if you're a Republican. You guys created the system. Yeah. Make it a closed primary, fix the rules, and then we can move along.
Exactly. Steve, let me bring on Curtis.
Republican.
All right, Curtis, let me bring on this caller because they've been waiting patiently. It's from the New York City area. You're on the air live with Southern Sense. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, how's it going? My name's Steve. I got to say, your show is really cutting through the malarkey. I really love it. It's awesome. There's a lot of news stories that I see in the mainstream media, and I just know that it can't be true. Like I saw this thing about Samsung phones. They're saying they're dangerous and exploding. I'm talking on a Samsung phone now, and I just...
Okay, all right. I got punked.
Wow. Wow.
But Steve, you're doing
some laughter.
Yeah, well, it's good to get a laugh every now and then.
Yes, but you're doing something right when they send over a troll to punk you. So, and that's air quotes around the word right.
And Annie, to the lovely lady from Florida, to her point, there, ladies and gentlemen, is a product of the public education system. So thank you for playing, sir, wherever you are.
Oh, please no. All that time.
But
what I was going to say, Annie, was that that's a different breed of Republicans in Washington. I call them elitists, also known as, we all know, as rhinos. So they're part of the system up there. So when they break off and say, hey, we can't support Trump, they never supported him in the beginning,
Exactly. I agree with you. We know what we call them. They're the Republican end of the Democratic Party. That's all they are.
Exactly.
No, it is true. I'm listening to them, and I'm listening to Paul Ryan, and he's shooting himself in the foot. Should Trump become president, I don't see Paul Ryan returning as Speaker of the House. Do you, Steve?
No. I mean, that if I were Trump, that would be the first thing I'd do in the first 100 days. Get rid of Paul Ryan. He's not a friend to the true Republicans. He's not a friend to us Americans. He's done nothing. Remember, they were laughing how much they passed with the omnibus once he got on. He did nothing. He funded the rest of Obama's term. It's something that's shame on him. It's shame on us, the Congress, for letting someone like that get in. His wife, if you know, his wife, I believe, is a Democrat, and she is a multi-millionaire doing lobbyist. So, I mean, where does his loyalty lie? I think after putting the omnibus through was at 1.8, or it keeps on getting bigger, $1 trillion, I think it lies to big business, Obama, and not to American people.
It's really awful because last year they said that the American public spent more money on Christmas gifts between Thanksgiving and Christmas, spent more money on Christmas gifts than we allot in our federal budget to the military. Now, that goes to speak a lot about how our government is being run. If the public is more concerned about Christmas gifts than the lives of our military men and women out there, that is just revolting. And Twilo was mentioning about the veterans. We give more benefits to unvetted refugees and illegal aliens than we give to our homeless veterans. To our military men and women, we give them less care, less benefits, less assistance than we would to an illegal alien. Now, does that not speak a lot about the American public and the American politics?
It's really a testament to where things are going right now. I mean, I could tell you in the healthcare system, I mean, all you have to do is a legal alien or anything just walk in And we're at the hospitals are told by the U.S. government not only to basically have to pay for them, and people take care of them for free, but they have to advertise that they'll take care of anyone who walks through the door, and they spend millions of dollars with this advertising to bring people in who, that are here illegally, and especially with the Syrians that are coming in, or these refugees. They've never really gotten health care for their most of their lives. They're coming in sick. Even here, I've been exposed to TB. I've been exposed to different. That's probably the biggest exposure I've ever gotten from an illegal. But they're coming up unvetted. They're coming up with diseases, measles, MERS, resurgence of some polio. This is what's being seen. I mean, when my parents came through, my relatives came in the early 20th century through Ellis Island. They had to pass a physical before they left Italy, and then they had to pass a second one when they got to Ellis Island if they were deemed not healthy enough to come through into the United States. They were sent back home, and that was a policy back then. I mean, you actually had to have money in your pocket to get through the door, and you prove that you have some money, so you know it's not going to be a deadbeat.
Oh, exactly, because I had two grandparents that came through Ellis Island, one from Italy, one from Germany. My grandmother, she came over as a tourist, got stuck during World War I, and ended up marrying my grandfather. So two from Italy, one from Germany, one born in Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn could be considered another country, too. But it had to be at that point in time that you had to have a sponsor. You had to have a place to live. You had to have a job already lined up. You had to swear you would not be on the public dole for 5 years. And if you did violate any of that, you would be subject to deportation. You had to promise you would not break any American laws. There was a certain standard you had to have. Teddy Roosevelt put in that you had to swear that you were not a polygamist or you did not believe in polygamy, and he did that to keep Islam out of spreading here in the United States, where we have more. We're now part of a caliphate pretty soon. In another 5-10 years, we'll be part of a caliphate. So there are certain.
Muammar Gaddafi said.
Go ahead.
Muammar Gaddafi said we could take over the West without firing a shot. I think, what date did he give? Like 2035? I'm just pulling that out. I think it was around there. Because we'll be taking over the rest through immigration. He laughed about it.
Oh, that is the truth.
That's what's happening now. And the liberal press doesn't mention anything about the standards that the people had to undergo coming into Ellis Island. It's like, we had our doors wide open. Anyone could come in. But that really wasn't the case. You had to have standards. We have none.
Right, and they all disappeared back in the 1970s. Up until that, even my husband, when they came over, because he was a refugee from World War II, when he came over, the family had to say, all right, this is where we're living. This is the family. They happen to be blood relatives. This is the family that's sponsoring us. They are responsible for us. So if we break a law, they're going to be in trouble, too. They had to say that the job was here, that everything was all legal. But I got another caller coming in. I'm glad to see the lines lighting up. If you want to join the conversation, please remember to press 1 so I know that you're waiting to ask a question. Area code 770, you're on the air live with Southern Sense. I'm your hostess, Annie, the radio chick. Our guest is Dr. Steve Martino, author of The Hidden Reality, which is available on Amazon, as well as on his website, which is martinoauthor.com. You like the way I got that in for you, Steve. Who am I speaking to?
Oh, thank you so much.
Caller?
Hello?
Yes, caller. Who am I speaking to?
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, hi, my name is Reginald.
Hi, Reginald.
And I just wanted to say, you were talking about Muammar Gaddafi earlier, and I wrote Muammar Gaddafi and said, no!
Got punked again. Got punked again. That's twice.
I think it sounded like the same guy.
Well, it was a different area code.
I just want to point out real quick to the gentleman who called, there is a thing out there. It's called a job, and you can get one of those and move out of your mom's basement at any time. It's up to you. Take a chance.
Oh, that's true. I mean, you have to be really, really bored with life if this is what you're going to do. You're going to call into a radio show just so you can punk it, instead of having something important to do with your life, like get a job, or you know what?
Or
maybe here's
even
an
any number
idea.
of things.
Or even here's an idea: volunteer for somewhere like a nursing home or a food bank. Give your time to something worthy.
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay.
Oh man! So I'm going to ask you: when people read your books, what do you want them to take away with it?
Well, I want them to see the folly, the potential follies of today's society. I want them to see the net result of keeping our heads in the sand. I want them to know that big business, big government is basically in control, and maybe one day, they'll take total control, and we as the people will have no further say in what's going on. It's sort of a warning. And actually, one of the characters I have in it is modeled after Hillary Clinton by the name of Myra Terry's. I take a lot of her biography and history and personality, and I put it into this. Basically, as a person, Myra doesn't, head of this company, this worldwide company that basically runs everything, doesn't care. She doesn't care about us, the people. She wants total control. She doesn't really care about what we think, what we say, and what she'll do is she'll throw up a smoke screen and divert what's really going on, so that the people are clueless and unable to mount any resistance to her rule over not only our country but the countries around the world. So I want it to be like an allegorical animal farm. This is what can happen. This is what will happen if we don't do something now.
Yeah, because you base a lot of this new reality around the Georgia Guidestones. And these are really scary things. They're sitting out there in Georgia. And what is it? I'm trying to remember what road it's off of. But it's off of a major highway. And no one knows exactly who came up with this idea, where they have this new world order and how the new world order should be on these guidestones down in Georgia. And they just suddenly this guy decided to have them erected, and the stone master that gave him the quote said, well, this is really stupid. I don't want to see it out there. So I'm going to give them this outrageous, quote on how much it's going to cost. And the guy said, no problem. We'll build it anyway. We'll pay your price. But if no one knows anything about the Georgia Guidestones, I'm telling them, Google it. It is some scary stuff.
People think I'm joking. It's American Stonehenge, and this lays out. I mean, certain things that are in there are like population control. It's you really just wonder. I mean, when you look at I start the book back dealing with the Illuminati and the New World Order, but it's like the way that the original papers from the Illuminati and like this New World Order theory came from was take over the press, have the press in your back pocket. Back then, it was the libraries, it was the press, suppress the knowledge, and keep all the money, all the power amongst the select few away from the general public, and that was the goal. And keep them in the dark. It's a way to keep power. And it's a way to maintain the power and let it grow. Well, they make their fortune and somewhat fame off the back of all these hardworking people in the country.
Oh, yeah, because these are the inscriptions that are on the Georgia Guidestones. And this is actually what is inscribed on it. Maintain humanity under $500 million. I mean, that would the United States? You're going to just have just the population of the United States? Population control. But if you think about Obamacare, and you're a doctor, you know what's in it, and I happen to have read it before Nancy Pelosi said, you've got to pass it before we know what's in it. I read it, Nancy Pelosi. I read the House bill, and I read the Senate bill, long before you even said that stupid statement. But population control is in Obamacare, where they restrict what type of care you can give to people. Whether they're very young or very old, care will be withheld. That's population control, but was already passed in law in Obamacare. That's number 1 on the Georgia Guidestones. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Aren't they doing that also through Planned Parenthood? And now, the name of it, when they're helping people die. What's that called?
Euthanasia.
Thank you.
Euthanasia?
I just had a major brain fart there. But they're doing that. That's number 2. Guide reproductive wisely, improving fitness and diversity. So now if you're way too old, you're not fit any longer, so you're no longer fall into that category. You're out of here. Now, Unite Humanity.
Annie, didn't some European country in the 30s do some of the same thing? I can't remember where it was. I think Germany or something. I don't know.
And what about China, the one-child rule? What about Russia? We've seen this. We've seen this throughout history. You had the Turks in Armenia doing the Armenians. Really, we have seen this over and over again. Remember the civil war in Bosnia, where the Muslims were fighting against the Christians, and they're creating genocide. We've seen genocide over and over and over again, and yet we fail to learn. Steve, you're going to hear me go on a rant today.
No, I agree with you. No, and what they say in the Georgia Guidestones, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. That's the New World Order. That's the New World Order they're talking about. You know, yeah. And then you throw in Soros. You know, his name comes up, and I go into more him. The second book after the Final Reality, the Hidden Reality of Final Reality. He is creating a world based upon the belief in Karl Popper's Open Society. Now, I've read Karl Popper's segments of his book, The Open Society. He was actually a mentor of George Soros, and what basically the Open Society is every person and every group has the same validity for thoughts and beliefs as anyone else. So if you believe in abortion, you believe in killing random people, you believe in any despicable thing, you have the same right as someone who believes in strict Judeo-Christian values in coming up with a overall morality. It rejects religion. It rejects country borders. It rejects anything that gives you a sense of identity. And how it does that is the theory is everyone breaks up into small separate groups in order to get their voices heard. And that's sort of what we see. You were talking about the Black Lives Matter. We've never been so diversified as Americans. We're no longer the melting pot. We're so diversified anymore. We're like that salad bowl. You can see lettuce. You can see cucumbers. We're not coming together as one. And based upon the Soros belief, he goes, that's the way you divide and conquer a country. Let them fight amongst themselves while we at the top reap the benefits. So we can do whatever we want while we throw them the crumbs and have them fighting amongst themselves and are too powerless to mount any type of resistance against the government. And the biggest resistance that they fear is someone like Trump, who's actually having people come together, different races, different religions, all coming together saying, hey, this is a man who speaks for ourselves. That's Soros' biggest enemy of the open society, Donald Trump.
Yes, absolutely. But I love this one. Number 7 is avoid petty laws and useless officials. Gee, wouldn't that mean any elected official? That would just mean no government.
Amen.
Oh, man. Balance personal rights with social duties. Social duties? What do you mean by a social duty?
I actually heard that in the 1930s also. These things, that was part of Hitler's and the Socialist Party mandates. It's your duty. It's your duty to serve your country. It's your duty, and the litany of things that they believed in. But this duty to something greater than yourself, the country, is what a lot of these socialists and communists believe in.
Mm. All right,
that's a great point to make, and Because in many instances, we people who have the Judeo-Christian ethic, that one higher power is the power above all power. That's why they've tried to erase that and make the state, make that giant state is now the power. It is God, if you will. Right. And we're seeing that more and more.
They break down the family, they break down religion, and they break down your reliance on yourself. So who do you go to? Who's left? Government.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got another caller on the line. Let me bring this individual in. It's from the Ohio area code 614. You're on the air live with Southern Sense. I'm your host, Annie, the radio chick. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, Annie, my name's Joseph. Oh, boy, a lot of jokesters on the phone today, huh?
Yep, seems like it. Joseph, you have a question for our... You have a question for our guest?
The only joke... Yes, the only joke I want to hear is Hillary for president, am I right?
Well, we all love to see her in that orange pantsuit.
I know.
I can find one big enough.
Wait, I'm counting the days until... Oh, no!
It's my day for being punked today. It's my day for being punked.
Now, you sound like the same guy.
Yeah, but he's coming in with different area codes, so he's got some way to mask his number. So,
Yeah, he's just bouncing his little VPN hider because, it's essential that he gets his thought out to the public. I mean, my goodness, we wouldn't want to repress that kind of creativity. I mean,
That's pure genius coming over the phone.
Oh man!
This is what they do, though. This is the attack. You're trying to have something you guys are talking about. You're trying to have a substantive discussion on something, and what do you get? You either get the name calling, you get this kind of stuff, and just a distraction. And Annie's been doing this for a long time. She can handle it, pal. That's all I can tell him.
And just like Kane interrupting Pence the whole time when he's trying to make the final point, he interrupted. That's what they do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they do not have a valid argument, they'll do anything else just to distract. And it's not going to work. We're going to stay on point. We're going to stay on message. And we're going to try to help make this country great again. Whether they like it or not tough. We're here to stay. The adorables, deplorables.
Annie, it's like Michael Savage says, liberalism is a mental illness.
Well, you are a neurologist, Dr. Martino. I've heard there is a difference in brain activity between those that are conservatives and those that are progressives. Is this true or not?
Yeah, I haven't seen it in scientific journals, but I've read things like that in non-scientific journal press releases. So, I never really delved in. I never saw the science behind it. So I really don't. I can't confirm it on a scientific level, but I've read it in the lay press.
Or is it strictly according to the amount of drugs these people take? I mean, it could be that too.
Yeah,
that's good point. That they're making a strong case for it.
Oh, man. I'm just looking at the clock. We're down to 17 minutes left. Oh, my God. The show has gone so fast today. There's been so much to talk about. And we had that debate with Trump and Hillary on Sunday. And, yes, I did have the TV up and running. The generator was going. But there is a, where is this from? Proudcons.com, where they did a fact check on just the 5 major lies. The first one being Hillary Clinton claimed that she apologized for calling half of Donald Trump's supporters a basket of deplorables and saying, within hours, I said I was sorry about the way I talked about that. That was debunked because she never fully said she was sorry. She just said only half. So she kind of didn't exactly walk it back. She doubled down on it.
Okay.
But this is the problem. The press is not telling the public the truth. They're allowing the lies to stay as if it was true. They are aiding and abetting the progressive cause. Steve?
I think that's why they're so interested sometimes in clamping down on the Internet, because this is where the true free flow of ideas happens in this day and age. And that's why they are so interested in just, hey, we need to find a way to clamp this down. We need to find a way to regulate it because we do not want free thought and the free exchange of information.
Well, Steve?
No, they don't.
No, I agree with you. I mean, and they're also talking. I forget the name of the bill, but it would also go after conservative radio talk shows. You know, I mean, listen to how many people watch. I mean, back in the Gulf War, I mean, CNN was the go-to station. Now CNN's a joke. Everyone's shouting at the rally the other day. CNN, you know, I didn't want to say it over the air, but they were chanting negative things about it. I mean, so they see, the mainstream media sees the people's attention going to the internet. They see it going back to the radio. And you're exactly right. They want to clamp down on the radio. They want to clamp down on the internet. Because without that, free speech and the populist voices will not be heard.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Fairness Act. They've tried to resurrect the Fairness Act. Yes. Whereas someone like me, I would have to give equal time to someone from the opposite side of the aisle. Wait a minute. I've got a listening audience that listens to conservative values, that enjoy listening to conservative values, conservative viewpoints on the events and news that's going on. I don't have an audience for the liberal public. So why would I be wasting my time, my airtime, to appease listeners that will never tune into the show to begin with? That's not capitalism. That's a dictatorship.
No, then you know, the conservative listeners will say, well, I don't want to listen to this. Half of it's BS. And they turn out too. So your listening clientele goes down to zero.
Exactly. And that is the way they want to then shut us up. The other way is giving away the internet to that international organization, giving away ICANN so that the internet control will go into the hands of, say, Russia, China, Iran. And do you think they would allow websites like mine or yours to exist? No, they will deny us access to the internet. So everything you're writing about in your book is actually occurring today. That's why people should get your book, which is called The Hidden Reality. It's an Alex Pella novel. By going to either Amazon, there's a link in the show description. They can click on it and go directly to Amazon, or to your website, martinoauthor.com, and pick up your book. It's the second in the series, and we've got a third one coming out next year. If you want to know what our future looks like, folks, read Dr. Steve Martino's book. How's that for a plug?
Well, I appreciate every kind word you have to say. Also, I would to add on that with TTP, that would go to an international committee that determines all the deals and oversees it. And who would the oversight committee be? Basically, a bunch of businessmen and bankers. And in the TTP, this regulatory commission, it would overrule any living documents. And what's a living document? Our Constitution. So this is another way you could control the internet. Well, control TTP. TTP will be the end of free trade. It would end of free trade. It would destroy American business and have basically big government, big business, and all the businessmen and bankers controlling us. So,
yeah, and we're seeing that because we can tie that in also to the refugee resettlement, because what people are not realizing is as these refugees are brought in, they're being settled near where there are major factory industries, and they are being used as employees for those factories because they're hiring them at below minimum wage. Plus, they get welfare, Section 8 housing, food stamps. So these businesses, these mega businesses, corporations, are hiring not Americans, but these refugees at less, so they get a higher profit margin. And Americans are being put out of work. So, folks, you got to pay attention to what our government is doing out here. They're not helping the average guy. They're not helping the small business. They're helping their buddies. Curtis, I know you're going to ask Steve a question. Go ahead.
Steve, I didn't get a chance to read your book, but what role do you think Islam and Sharia law will play in the United States in, I say, about 40 years?
That's a good question. I mean, with regard, it depends on how many refugees we let in, but I think that the saying, so goes Europe, so goes the United States. We may be looking at what Europe is facing now in less than 40 years. 5, maybe 10 years, where you have no-go zones, where you have these ghetto areas that used to be thriving cities totally destroyed with laws that do not apply to our values nor to our time-honored Constitution. And the more you let in, the more our country will be turning into Europe. And right now, Europe, I'll use something how Trump describes it. Europe is a disaster. Whatever turned back the way it is, I don't know. But that's where we're heading if we allow Sharia in this country. And as a woman, and I have 5 kids, 4 daughters, I fear for them with the Sharia and their beliefs, because women are a second-class citizen. And I was talking to an Army vet that just came back in my office. He told me, he was in Afghanistan, Sharia court. The woman was found guilty of something she was innocent for. The husband went out, took a sword, chopped off her head. End the case. Went back to normal life. That's the way it works. She had no say.
Unfortunately. And we have seen honor killings here in the United States. There was the executive for a radio station in New York State. He executed his wife in an honor killing. You have a father down in Florida, ran his daughter over as an honor killing. You are seeing them here in the United States, but the press is not talking about it because it's not PC. And we've got to cut out this.
Doesn't fit their narrative.
It does not fit the narrative. And that is the problem. We've got the Muslim Brotherhood sitting down, breaking bread in the White House, our house, with Senator McCain and Senator Lindsey Graham, and no one is saying anything. You've got the CARE, which is direct arm of the Muslim Brotherhood, telling our FBI, our NSA, our CIA, our local police departments how to treat Muslims and how to treat them especially, and not the same way you treat an average American. Why? Isn't that against the Constitution? But no one wants to talk about that.
Abomination. No, you don't hear anything like that.
No.
It makes me sick. It makes me sick even hearing you say it.
We are not paying attention. Everyone's so busy, looking to see who the next American Idol is going to be, who's dancing with the stars. What are the Kardashians doing? That is more important to them than where your taxes are going and why you're paying so many high taxes. No, that's not important. That's not sexy. How are your children being taught Common Core? You know what is going on in Common Core, where kids are turning out where they can't read, they can't do basic math. This is our education system. We're not paying attention to how our children are being treated. We're not paying attention to our own Obamacare. I've got my stepson who was trying to get some medical treatment. He was told, well, if you need to go to the emergency room, you can't go to the emergency room that is just 7 miles away from you. You've got to go 45 minutes down to Savannah. You have to go to that emergency room. And God forbid he had cut himself so badly he was bleeding out, he'd never make it. But this is what is happening in the medical field. You deal with this doctor all the time. You see the travesties. We're not paying attention to that. No. What's the latest dress Kardashian's wearing? Oh, wait a minute. She just got robbed of $6 million worth of jewels. That's more important than that homeless vet out there. Oh, man.
That's the smoke screen. That's the smoke screen that they give. And that's why I write about this book and my future book. In New Jersey, about 1 million people lost their health insurance. That's because of the new Obamacare with the new regulations. Either they lost their job, or their $400 premium a month went up to $1,200. Tripled. It wasn't even double, it was tripled. Where's the media calling Obama out for his $2,500? You keep your doctor $2,500 less a month, a year for medical care. And there has been lawsuits because people have gone to the different hospital and have died on the way. That's not a theoretical case. That is a factual case where in the hospital, the health insurance was sued, and I have personally heard patients say they had to go to other places and suffer negative consequences. It's not theory; it's fact. Our health benefits we're getting are worse that Obamacare itself is a disaster. People are paying $600 a person who are actually filing their taxes as I'm calling it a tax because they don't have health insurance. And if you do get Obamacare with the deductibles, by the time you're done, you paid thousands of dollars. And it didn't give you any benefit.
Yeah, and we're also seeing this now with the Medicare Part D. I fall into that category where I'm eligible for Medicare Part D. I have to drop it and go back to the original insurance I had through where I retired because I hit that donut hole and I got to the point where I could not afford my medicines because now I'm paying full retail price for these medicines that Obamacare and Medicare Part D promised, no, you're going to be paying a lot less money. No, it's going to work out this way. In reality, it works the exact opposite. I had to call my doctor and says, I can't afford the medications. Is there an alternative that you can give me that will not cost as much? And every time I try that, he goes, no, you need to be on this medication. So what do? You have a choice between...
I get that call all the time.
And it's
I get that call all the time. And generics have gone up astronomically.
Yeah.
I used to pay $1 for this one generic, and now I pay, I don't know, $120 for the same drug, $1 to $120. That's a sin.
No, that is a sin. The heart medication I had to take went from was $20 up to $132. And I have to have that pill, otherwise I will go into atrial fibrillation. I've been hospitalized 4 times in cardiac intensive care. I have been paddled, so I know I must take this medication every day. But then you have a choice. Do I buy this medication, or do I cut back on my grocery bill, or something else, or cut corners somewhere else? And you're putting the American people in harm's way, and no one's paying attention because the Kardashians are sexier than talking about healthcare. We're down to our final 3 minutes. I can't believe we went this far in the show, and I've had so much fun, Dr. Martino. And I'm telling everyone, click on our link here that's on the show page, The Hidden Reality and Alex Pella novel. Get the book off of Amazon. You can download the Kindle or go to your website. Check out your blog on the website, which is great, martinoauthor.com. It has been a pleasure.
The pleasure's mine. And thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it, and your show is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. And good luck on your radio TV show. Radio TV show? Can we say that? Okay. Dana, I want to thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And, just a phone call away. You need anything, we'll be right there at your side.
Well, listen, I appreciate you guys being there, and a doctor, an author, and a radio host. I guess tonight I'm going to spend myself some time in self-assessment to see where my life went off the rails. But you guys take care, all right?
No, thank you.
You take care. Now, we will be back here. Today's Tuesday. We'll be back here on Friday. We've got former Florida Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll. She'll be joining us. And we also have Stacy Washington. And you know her as Stacy on the right. She will be joining us also on Friday. So we got a great show lined up for this Friday. So I hope everyone comes back and joins us on Friday. Same bat time, same bat station. And be careful and safe out there. Until then, I say good night and God bless, Curtis.
Take care. See you Friday.
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan. Health care plan. Health care
You work hard like your parents both did. Everything you earn by breaking your back, we're gonna redistribute when we make a paycheck. Hey, sit down, don't be a jerk, 'cause none deserve it better than the ones who won't work. We're gonna throw away what I hope for this vote. Use your hard money just to buy a new boat. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place.
60 seconds.
Little house for you and me. Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Here in the land of the not so free. phone calls. You got a pen and telephone to pop, that's all you lost. Political correctness will reflect the bill of rights. Support religious freedom, bless you, praise Jesus Christ. The presence in our pockets, so it's no longer free. You cannot make a move without the NSAPC. Don't expect your father to be respected for play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the stage. Welcome to the place that the left democracy. It'll be counted for you to be. Oh, welcome to the place.